Hello, everyone. Ryan Poole here from DPR Construction, one of the country's top technical builders with offices spreading globally. We self-perform various scopes across numerous market sectors. I get the honor and privilege of serving as DPR's global sustainability leader. I'm excited to be here with you today at the NHEO conference to talk about the future of construction. Today, we'll be talking about the sustainable builder, practices and strategies for creating a healthier environment for both people and the planet. In our discussion today, I'll be providing an overall framework that was created by the Sustainable Construction Leadership Group within Building Green called the Contractor's Commitment. This framework will provide 5 categories: carbon reduction, job site wellness, waste management, water management, and materials. We'll show you how these are prioritized through various benchmarking and what strategies and practices you can use to help implement these at your own organization. The first category we're going to be reviewing today is carbon. You'll see here that we have our good, better, and best as we approach benchmarking prioritization. Also on the left-hand side, you'll see we've broken it down into planning and implementation, tracking and reducing, offsetting, and disclosure. Under planning and implementation, there is a progressive approach to lowering embodied carbon and direct carbon emissions from construction equipment. You'll see establishing things as simple as an anti-idling plan, all the way to only using engine tier 4 equipment. You also see in the middle here using EC3 for material selection, which does a deep dive into embodied carbon within the materials that we're using to build our buildings. Under track and reduce, you'll see a similar breakout structure of the greenhouse gas protocol, breaking it down into 3 various scopes: direct emissions, purchased energy, and other indirect emissions. Within scope 1, we have things like GC's mobile sources and stationary sources. The next phase will be looking more into actual equipment on the construction site and what kind of emissions we're producing there. Under scope 2, we're looking more at corporate offices and how we're actually producing emissions there, and then moving into utilities on the job site for temporary power. Last but not least, in scope 3 are our other indirect emissions. We're looking at things like reimbursed fuel, corporate travel, our subcontractors, mobile and stationary equipment, and then moving into how we're actually commuting to the job sites. Outside of reduction, which should always be the first priority, we can look further at offsetting opportunities. Offsetting opportunities are vast, but it's very important that you select the right one that has a lot of transparency in the way that they're driving results. Last is going to be disclosing this information so that we can all continue to learn from each other, grow, and improve the way that we build the built environment. Now I'm going to show you some examples that we've taken at DPR to help implement and drive these initiatives. First and foremost, we believe it's our responsibility as builders to not only improve the built environment for our clients, but to show them the way from our own corporate offices. We've taken the approach of creating living labs throughout various climate zones to show what it takes to achieve net zero energy. Beyond net zero energy, we look into wellness components and all kinds of other aspects of our office spaces to help drive true sustainability. Our first one was in San Diego in 2010. And from there, we've continued to approach various climate zones with different strategies in how we achieve a lower energy use intensity. These are taken through different passive and active elements. And also, outside of driving just operational lower capacity in our carbon emissions, we also look at the embodied carbon within the materials that we're selecting. Our most recent office in We take a step further in how we actually track and analyze what's going on within our office structures. This here is a platform that tracks not just our energy usage, but also our water and any production we have from energy of our photovoltaic systems. Here you can see all of our various offices, the number of data points we're collecting, and how that comes up to summarize our usage and production. It's important to take it a step further in educating the occupants of a high-performing building. We can't just rely on the facility's operations. We need the people that are in the occupied space driving sustainable practices as well. One important step in doing that is allowing them access to the data that drives that change. Here you can see at our living offices, we put up dashboards that are interactive so that our occupants can go and dive in to the specific data around usage within that office. This allows them to see true results from changes that they make. For instance, instead of having a space heater at your individual desk, you could wear a coat. Showing that little change and being able to track that lets people know the little decisions that they make can have a much larger impact. Moving away from carbon, we're now going to look at job site wellness. Job site wellness is going to be broken into air, nourishment, fitness, mental wellness, and severe weather exposure. When we're talking about air quality, we really want to implement things that help drive that factor. Small things such as prohibiting smoking, providing cleaning protocol and filter changes, as well as an indoor air quality management plan. Next, we're going to talk about nourishment. Nourishment is vital for us to have great production on a job site. Our health and well-being is incredibly important to how we perform and our safety. Not only do we want to make sure we're providing quality access to water for all of our occupants, we also want to make sure we're encouraging healthy food decisions. Whether that's through signage or whether you're providing food on a job site, it's important to take that into consideration so that we make sure everyone has vitality through the options that they're choosing. Next, we're going to talk about fitness. Most people on a construction site are moving around all day long. But how much time do they take to actually stretch, flex, and get ready for the day? It's important to take that time at the beginning of our day, and not just on a weekly basis, but a daily basis if possible. We can continue to provide ergonomic messaging and even continue to provide more movement through meetings and variable height workstations for those that are working inside the construction offices. Mental wellness. Mental wellness is an important subject within the construction industry as we have one of the highest rates of suicide. Not only do we need to allow for mental breaks and PTO, we also need to provide resources to help people that are facing challenges. Designated breaks, access to nature, severe weather exposure can be a huge concern depending on where you're located geographically. Now we're going to dive into some of the resources that DPR has built to help drive these initiatives. A first look at our indoor air quality management plan. These are incredibly important to talk about at the beginning of the job site and during your job site orientation so that everyone that comes through is educated on what the guides are and how to actually implement them. Again, looking at those mental health resources. What do we have available for everyone to provide a safe space to talk about challenges they're facing? DPR has also created its own support program to help with financial assistance in times of need. Putting up important signage is critical. Providing bilingual signage with graphics can go a long way. Find the right tools and resources that work for your organization and helping drive consistency in the change that we're trying to create. The next category we're going to look at is waste management. In our planning and implementation page, we're looking at project waste, creating that project waste management plan and setting diversion goals. In the good category, we're only looking at diverting 2 waste streams. We also want to make sure that you have proper signage in place. We'll move that all the way to a zero waste culture with proper training and 4+ diversion streams when you get into the best category. This will be one of the critical categories to track and report on. We want weight of construction and debris waste by stream, diversion reports from haulers, and reused and salvaged equipment and materials. It's important that we would disclose this information so that we can continue to see, as an entire industry, how we're improving waste management and driving zero waste on our job sites. Here's some of the resources that DPR has built to help drive a zero waste culture. First and foremost, your waste management plan. This is critical to start at the beginning of the job, sitting down with all partners, particularly your waste vendor partner, to discuss all of the elements that you've decided to approach in this job. It's then incredibly important to continue to communicate that to all of the partners that you bring on board throughout the life cycle of the project so that you can drive consistency in the goal that you're trying to achieve. A logistics plan is crucial to be able to implement this at the beginning of a job. Identify where your waste station goes and use that in your orientation so that you can educate everyone as they come on the job site. Providing proper bilingual signage is also a critical factor. Making sure folks know why things are sorted, where they're sorted, and the impact it has on the back end can be important for driving the change of behavior. So provide that signage that shows people where our waste goes and the impact that it has, not only on the environment, but in turn, human health. Here you can see a copy of the annual reporting tool that we've built within the contractor's commitment for disclosure. You'll see that we have waste tracking divided by various waste streams and calculated by weight and volume of tonnage. Our next category we're going to review is water. In the water category, we're going to look at ways to prevent pollution risk from site water runoff, so making sure you have that SWIP in plan, evaluating water use risk and opportunities, and even going as far as water restoration. I'm excited to share one incredible innovative solution that we've developed at one of our projects, a concrete truck washout reclamation center. This reclamation center has been able to save 13,500 gallons of recycled water in one day. We estimate that that's going to save 2 million gallons of water over the life of the project. We paired this reclamation center with a water capture and treatment system. Therefore, no potable water was used in the making of this process. Our next category is materials. During the planning and implementation process, you'll want to develop a healthy and sustainable materials policy. And you'll want some in-house education to go along with that. If we continue to drive transparency in the materials that we're selecting, we'll have better visibility in how they're made and what type of impact they have on the environment and human health. It's important that we not only educate everyone on this, but track our impacts along the way. Making sure we have proper EPDs and HPDs with all of the data that we need available to do a full analysis is critical in making sure that we're successful in selecting responsible materials. DPR has developed various resources to help accomplish this goal. In educating not only internally, but externally, we've developed strong critical content in alternative building materials. One that we're particularly excited about is mass timber. In our recent Sacramento office, we did a study on this carbon sequestering building material. At that office, our cross-laminated timber sequestered 55 metric tons of CO2. That's equivalent to 33 cars off the road per year and 14 houses of electricity. At the safe efficiency of DPR's office, we could sequester 5 billion metric tons of CO2 by 2060 across our world building stock. Making sure that you have platforms to dive deeper into material analytics is critical. DPR uses an in-house branded platform to look deeper at not only EPDs and HPDs, but performance factors on the back end. So really taking a life cycle analysis approach to the materials that we're utilizing in the field. Last but not least is tracking all of this selection. There are lots of great platforms out there that help you organize all of this data and show how you're making progress throughout the life cycle of the project. There are platforms that not only track material selection, but also waste management and indoor air quality as well. At DPR, we built our own in-house best practice guidebook. This is really a help supporting content with the contractor's commitment to dive into actual strategies that you can drive. We first wanted to start with providing people impactful information to help them understand why we're taking on this challenge. How does some of these things impact not just people, but the planet as well, and the synergy between those? We stayed consistent in alignment with the contractor's commitment in benchmarking by a good, better, and best prioritization throughout various categories. Our job site best practices provided links and supporting documentation, all of the resources that our teams need to drive success, conservation, and overall sustainable practices in the way that we build every day. This isn't just about driving change in behavior, it's driving change in the decisions that we make. Knowing that there is a simple solution and it's just one different decision away. It's making sure that our teams have the resources and means necessary to make those more sustainable choices in the way that we build on our job sites every day. How can you use the contractor's commitment to advance sustainability if you're not a contractor? Ask if your contractors heard of it. Ask contractors to follow the measures. Ask contractors to consider becoming signatory. Include some of these practices in your RFPs and inspect and include them in your Division 1. If you are a contractor, here's how you can participate today. Download the contractor's commitment guide. Download the reporting template. Join our mailing list for updates, and feel free to send feedback to the Sustainable Construction Leaders Network by emailing Candace Pearson. Her email is here below. Again, I'm Ryan Poole with DPR Construction. It has been a pleasure being here with you today to talk about the contractor's commitment and things that DPR has been doing in-house to help drive change in the way that we build on our job sites. Continuing to drive that change is what will improve the health and wellness of the environments that we live and work in every day. Let's continue to drive a more sustainable built environment for people and the planet.